Hey everybody, welcome to Publishing Disrupted. I'm Mick Silva.
And I'm David Morris.
And we are two former Christian publishing professionals talking about the changes and disruptions in the publishing industry today. So what's new? What's new in your life?
What am I disrupting?
Or what's disrupting you?
I'm disrupting myself in good psychoanalytic fashion. That's a good thing. I'm reading about that quite a bit right now, too. A book called Theology After Freud from 1970, very obscure book by a
nice
scholar named Peter Homans.
That's
what I do in my fun time.
Wow.
That and some other things, but that's part of it.
Sounds good.
I don't know what's going on. I keep really busy I'm a publisher and literary agent. I do both from a sort of one man plus some helpers setup, some really good helpers. This morning I was editing a manuscript, got almost my daily goal of 20 pages almost done.
All right, that's awesome.
Really good memoir coming.
Yeah.
It'll be out next year, 2026, like spring. And, publicity work.
Yeah.
I do that.
Right.
And I was working on a book proposal with an author. All of the above.
As an agent, sending it out, right?
I'm constantly learning. I'm on more of a learning curve in my professional career after 30 years than I've ever been in my entire career.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I've been in jobs where, like, oh man, I am just so I gotta do this again,
Yeah.
And some of those were situations where you're asking yourself, why do we even do this?
What is the point?
Like this isn't really actually growing. It's just stagnating, not just for me personally, but for the company I'm working for.
Treading water, man.
And no one's listening on some ideas that maybe would shake things up.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, the world is shaking up as it always does every single minute of history.
Things are changing, but we're not. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's true for publishing. I will say on a couple more specific things. I might have mentioned this before, but just a couple weeks ago, released a book called "I Hardly Knew Me," following Love, Faith, and Skittles to a Transgender Awakening by Nia Caramonte. Wonderful author,
Very
wonderful
cool.
Story of gender transition.
Yeah.
Both from a family and conservative faith-ish point of view, as well as a physical point of view and wider community point of view, by someone who's just an amazing human being and professional in the work that she does during the day, which I won't bring up right now, but that's
very cool.
That came out. We actually ran an ad for it on Facebook for this, for Lake Drive Books. And
is that new for you? I mean, do you do that?
No, it's not. I've been doing it here and there. I'm pretty much for every book, at least initially when it comes out.
Where it makes sense to do.
Yeah. I mean, they say you're supposed to spend a certain percentage of your revenue on advertising, regardless of whether it's working. And
And then the question's where.
But you can evaluate, cost per click, and I see that.
Okay.
And I do pretty well on Facebook. I get a lot of clicks, a lot of traffic to the website.
Yep.
How much of that is really converting to a sale is another question sometimes.
It's often not very great.
But it gets the book out there. I think with just like a lot of media and paid ads, like earned media, which is like podcasts and getting in magazines where you don't get paid, or then when you don't get paid, obviously. You don't pay for it, and that's always. But then there's other ads that you do pay for it. That's paid media.
Right.
I think it's always just a question of impressions, too. Like, what is it? You've got to hit people up a certain number of times before they finally realize this is a book I need.
Yeah.
I can't do without this. And and I also feel like it gets, if it doesn't immediately work out in a sale, it does connect the author to people at times. It gets them connected to the brand of Lake Drive Books. So I try to keep a pretty optimistic view about it. But after a while, it's like, okay, I'm only making this much money and I'm spending this much money. So gotta be careful.
Yeah. The return is always great.
And we did get some negative ads, just some people who were just outraged that transgender people exist.
No, that's going to happen.
And that was, I don't usually see negative ads on the things I post for Lake Drive Books or my agenting.
Yeah.
But this is an ad that goes out to anybody in a way. And so therefore there was, I delete them.
Yeah.
Who needs that negative stuff in the world? Right. It's just a beautiful, beautiful story. And I don't know how you can deny it.
Yeah.
And then this morning, I'll stop. There was a cool post on Threads where someone's just asking, where can I find some faith deconstruction books? I've read this book, I've read that book. And it was just fun to just say, have you tried Lake Drive Books titles? We have options.
Quite a few.
And I even posted, the link to one of the books right in there.
Yeah.
And I think that was sort of refreshing for me. I mean, I know there's such a movement out there in the world of faith deconstruction, and publishing can play a role in that. In fact, believe it or not, you've heard of the Dummies books, right?
Yeah.
So did you know there's going to be a faith deconstruction for
Dummies
book?
Oh, that's perfect.
Like, you knew it was coming.
Of course.
And then, there's also the Idiots Guide, which is owned by another company, might as well be a country. But they're going to probably have
we need
eventually.
I was thinking Chicken Soup for the Deconstructionist Soul.
Oh, hey.
Something like that.
Man. Okay, someone should send a memo. You could volunteer to aggregate some stories for them and get it going.
Or I was thinking The Gospel According To was a big sort of brand for a while. Those series were big. Yeah. According to like Star Wars and
Peanuts. It was the first one, I think.
The Simpsons, I remember. But yeah. We need more of these.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was fun to just kind of go out there and say, hey, these books are out there.
Yeah.
I'm following a deconstruction and an ex-Christian group on Reddit, and I know there's similar things on Facebook, Discord, and it's a question of how do you reach people who just aren't aware. I mean, it's funny too. Like, some of the answers I saw in the replies to this Threads post was sort of like, wow. Some of these are some obscure books that they're coming up with to help this person with faith deconstruction. And there's many other things coming out that have come out, and many that are still coming out, that it always surprises me how vast the movement is, and how much a lack of common knowledge there is in the movement.
Right.
Broad, not just vast, but broad.
Yeah.
And how there's people who are at the beginning of the journey, and then there's people who've been, could claim that they've been on it for decades, all of which is true. I mean, the fact that Dummies book is coming out, it's like, hello, folks, there's a real movement going on here. This isn't just like,
that's
the emergent church moment that we had for a little while way back when.
Yeah.
And it is not just a movement of like the times per se that's going to come and go. It's like, there's a real change going on with religion, the makeup of religion in the United States. Yeah. And it isn't, and just like anything else, it's inevitable.
Right.
I can go on about this, and I apologize.
No, this is good.
But there's Phyllis Tickle, and this is publishing related somewhat, who used to be the religion editor for Publishers Weekly, the trade magazine in the publishing business. She started, or around the time she was the religion editor there, they started the Religion Book Line, which is a weekly, probably more like bi-weekly newsletter, e-newsletter. A lot of good reporting went on back then in PW with regard to books in religion. Phyllis was known for a little theory she put forward. I'm not sure where she got it or where she came up, how she kind of came about it, but she made up this idea that, and I don't want to be ungracious, but she with my choice of words there, but she put forward the idea of there's like a 500-year rummage sale in Christianity. And I take a little bit of issue with it. I find it a little bit dubious at this point. God rest her soul. She passed away a while back. Yeah. But it's sort of like, well, if you really look at it, since Christianity started, that's not very many years millennia to collect data. That's like, okay, 2 millennia, that's 4 or 5 sets of 500 years. I don't know about that.
Sure.
It also, I find it a little bit ahistorical in that it just sort of centers Christianity as the only spiritual narrative in globally.
Yeah.
In a sense, maybe that she was never making those kinds of claims, but Christianity has a way of sounding rather, like what else is there as we talk about it. that's
Yes.
like a built-in assumption.
Yeah.
But I really feel like when it comes to spirituality, religion, the way we practice, the way we think, what we believe, what we do, how we behave, because religion is all those things, folks. It's not just theology.
That's right.
And I feel like it is constantly changing. And in the United States, which is the most religious Western industrialized, post-industrial country in the world, strangely religious compared to our European friends.
That's right.
It's definitely bound for change.
Yeah.
And it's not just a 500-year rummage sale. The church is not going to be what we think it is. Like, it's never coming back the way it ever was.
It's out of the box.
It's always on its...
Yeah.
And then, so that very much connects to... man, we're already 10 minutes in, and I've been just like motoring here.
This is perfect. That's a great setup.
That connects to, what we're doing in publishing.
Yeah.
How do we adapt?
Yeah.
We both had jobs in evangelical publishing.
Yep.
And, what does that mean for not just you and me, but many of us who suddenly find themselves not in that sort of prosperous, wealthy stream.
Right. That
sort of given reality, unquestioned reality in the subculture. Right. And it is a subculture of evangelicalism in the United States.
Yeah, and you said a lot there, and I mean, we could unpack this the entire hour and then some. So, but to me, coming out of Christian evangelical publishing, there's like a big banner, right, that we all sort of exist under. In publishing, in particular,
right.
I think we're publishing to the church, but we're also largely publishing to general Christians, who read books, and not necessarily in Christian bookstores. That's going out obviously to Amazon now and whatever. But I think what you said, and Phyllis Tickle might even sort of revise her theory at this point because of the internet and because of the disruption that largely we're trying to talk about on this show. It's out of the box and it's not going back in a box. There isn't a large banner under which a lot of people identify now. I mean, the mainstream does exist in America, and we could argue about the characteristics of that. Mm-hmm. But what you just said, I mean, there's many different expressions, there's many different approaches, there's not many different gods, but we're not even talking about that. We're just talking about like our own experiences.
Yeah. Please, let's talk about different gods.
No,
for crying out loud. I'm tired of the one God all the time.
Or just different,
it's boring.
Like views of God, right? Like we all see different pieces of the elephant. I love that metaphor. And we're trying to all like give each other some grace.
Wasn't Ganesha
to understand
an elephant? So I'm sorry. I'm really being bad.
Ooh, that's good. So like there's not many gods, but there's maybe ways to see God. Let's put all that aside. There is a mainstream that used to exist, I'd say even up to maybe the 90s. Yeah. 95, somewhere around where the internet starts taking over and saying like all there are now is subcultures. There's not like a major culture, and people bemoan this in every industry. The news, I hear this all the time. There's no Walter Cronkite every night. You've got like all the bloggers giving you their opinions on the news. And then, just go down the line of all the media that has been disrupted because of the internet and the you generation. Like everyone has to have their opinion out there. It's not even just like a solid mass of people that we're trying to reach. Yeah. You got to find your own audience. And that brings us to our topic, which largely I think to like kind of nutshell this very unfairly, we're trying to help authors figure out what is their subculture. How do you find then your audience? And, this idea, Kevin Kelly came up with the 1,000 True Fans idea, that you're basically just trying to find 1,000 people who are your true fans, who can be the people that you will, rely on, whether that's through Patreon or selling your books or even just like being a speaker or, having a podcast, people who are going to listen to you and then buy your books and, whatever it is, if you're an author. So to me, I think we're trying to help people understand this shift, how that not deconstruction, but like disruption of the marketplace in books, and I mean largely Christian. That's what we come out of. But trying to go toward a general marketplace, and then understanding this subculture that you're basically trying to build on your own.
Right.
Of people who want your content, whatever that is.
Right.
Build a brand, build an idea around, your materials and basically your own little media empire.
Get your writing going. Mm-hmm. You said it before we got on record here that you feel that sometimes people just write what you want to write and then go find people to convince you that it's worth, that's valuable.
Yeah, I think in many ways we had it backwards. At least I had it backwards as an acquiring editor. It's like there were a bunch of slots that I had to fill. And I saw this almost like a board that I had to like fill all these slots that exist, right, in the marketplace. Because,
a marriage book.
Right, or a parenting book. It's just we know what sells, so let's just go find the authors that will do the new version of this old idea and fill that hole. And it's so commodified, and I don't know, it's just not very authentic. I would much rather do what you're doing, which is, and you're not just waiting for people to come to you, but you in many ways are like looking for what's on this person's heart, what caused them to have to write a book, and how do I then sell that passion, that message, put that out there, help the people find it who want it, and call it good. Like, it's obviously not for everyone. You don't have to sell to everyone. Right. In fact, you're probably doing it a disservice if you try to do that.
Right. Like, what is it a, let's get back to that article, but is it a question of, are you trying to talk about the human condition through the lens of your own life, and is that, or you just want to talk about yourself? And that's, no one does, honestly, not many people want to read that, but you don't have to please everybody either.
Yeah, and even like authors who are maybe have that celebrity status or some sort of larger platform still need to specify and still need to be pretty particular about how they're approaching this, because that you're still not going to stand out as an author in today's market by just trying to hit everyone and being very general. Right.
So the guy who wrote this, he actually wrote this article in 2008.
Originally,
And then it very recently republished it, or?
Updated it, for, I think, I'm not sure when, but yeah.
And the title of the article again is?
I mean, you remember the long tail concept, right? That's where largely he came up with that. I mean, the 1,000 true fans idea is what it's under. He claims that, Tim Ferriss talks about it in Tools of Titans, but I think that the concept of 1,000 true fans is really helpful if you can reduce to, just how you're reaching people and who those people are, whether that's in a particular category of book, and then you kind of isolate that and then drill down, through Substack and through, all of your marketing to that audience, or you're basically a crafts person and saying, I don't need to reach everyone. I'm really only looking for people who are into fiber arts for goats or like whatever it is. Yeah. And that's that's a subcategory, right?
People with blue reading glasses. Well, so he actually breaks it down initially into a very economic model about what it means, and basically he calculated that what you need is the 1,000, because it's all, I mean, honestly, it's all very sort of hermetically sealed idea and kind of artificial, but but the basic idea is that if you have 1,000 fans and they're fans that no matter what you produce, they'll buy it, and if you can get them to buy enough stuff that you make $100 of profit off of each fan
per year or so.
Per year, you make $100,000 a year. Which most of us should be able to survive on that.
And most people aren't trying to, be super famous or reach a bunch of people that way.
And I mean, honestly, it's artificial, but you get the idea. Yeah, it's like okay, that's actually, scaling. I don't need to be in the New York Times bestseller list. Right. And when you kind of chunk that whole idea down of who your following should be and who your audience should be, maybe there's a real number that's not that big. Yeah. I mean, he mentions how you might even be able to know the names of 1,000 people.
Exactly.
And that doesn't sound unreasonable. And I never thought about it that way, but I probably do know 1,000 people. And I know their names if I see them. Sometimes I forget their names a little bit, but if I haven't seen them in a while. But,
I would say a few hundred is probably what I have. Yeah. And then, from there, the larger circuit might be some acquaintances and people who would
Yeah.
be into what I'm into in some way.
Yeah.
It's still hard.
Yeah.
It's still hard
Yeah.
to sell to 1,000 people.
And his math is also based on the idea of putting out your own content and not using publishers or gatekeepers or music labels. He talks about this not just for books, but
Right.
but for any kinds of content creation that you're making money on.
Yeah, Patreon is mentioned.
Yeah.
Right? So you have like subscribers probably.
Yeah.
And a subscriber base. I mean, your email list is still going to be primary in that. But yeah, you don't need millions of fans. And we do need to be more realistic about this, because indie, for me, what you were talking about with the Phyllis Tickle idea that like Christianity like drives Western culture, I don't know that that's as true going forward. I really just don't see that continuing.
Wow, we're really moving around here. That was really good.
But
you got to be an agile thinker to listen to Publishing Disrupted, because that's
trying
what
to
we
relate
do,
it back.
and you got to keep up.
I'm going to relate it back to what you were talking about.
Yeah, keep going.
Because
I just got lost. That's the problem.
It's a huge transfer of like authority that's happening, right?
Yeah,
it's not this like on high idea of like maybe the pastors used to be in charge, or like even the government. Like people just don't have this idea of authority that they used to have anymore. It's like, well, we are our own authorities, and that's not going to change anytime soon. That's not going to be like, oh, we'll go back to having a large church that's in charge of and largely in charge of government as well. Like that's just not going to happen.
Unless you're the Church of Christian Nationalism and you're growing by
well,
leaps and bounds.
They would love to see it go that way. The authoritarians would. But I think the internet prevents that from happening. And sure, I mean, some big EMP could come and take out all the internet or whatever. But like we're basically talking about the media culture that existed before, and now the disruption is causing everyone to have to kind of go after their own audience, their own market, and build that. That sounds overwhelming, and so we're trying to do a podcast that helps people break that down. What does that look like practically? You don't necessarily need 1,000 true fans. Right. I mean, if you're making more off of each individual, you could have 500. Right. Or if you're making less off of each individual, you'd have 2,000. Right. It's just that feels more doable to me. That concept feels useful, and then you don't necessarily have to be thinking so big and broad all the time. Yeah.
I do think it's a lot of work.
Absolutely.
But I think that the point is to try to see that you only have to get so far to be what you might define as successful. So like even what I do with Lake Drive Books could be seen as more of a macro level, one step up from just being one author. What I'm trying to do is aggregate not just a lot of content that I put out as one person, as an author, if I was an author, but I'm a publisher, so I'm aggregating content of a lot of other people. And one of the justifications I've had for doing it and kind of doing it the way I'm doing it with a hybrid model, I call it traditional publishing with an untraditional financial model. It's not a service hybrid model like a lot of other hybrid publishers. It is actual publishing, but a different financial model where the author participates in the upfront cost. Doesn't mean that they get to call the shots.
No, right.
Either, which is
You're
what a lot of hybrid publishers, a lot of hybrid publishers, I just saw one this morning. It's like that's they've tried to make that part of their appeal is because you're paying up front, you get to call the shots on things that you wouldn't with a normal publisher. But no, you want a conventional publisher who's going to push back on you and who's going to help curate and guide your content. Yeah. But what I'm trying to get at is if with this model that's enabled by the way technology is these days, with regard to DIY publishing, I can do it on a much smaller scale, and I can start aggregating all these different authors' content to form this business called Lake Drive Books, and I don't have to pay. I mean, the CEO where we used to work, was probably mid six-figure salary. Right. Mid six-figure salary.
Huge overhead.
I don't need I don't need a
Honestly.
I don't want one. What do you do with all that money? And then, so if I only have to get to a certain level for my own income, and I'm not there, but if I have to get to that certain level, there's actually a finite number of books that I need to finally publish and have them work to achieve that. It's actually doable. I'm working my butt off, and I'm 3 years in now.
Well, I would say you're just probably at that point of critical mass, and the long tail is what you're trying to build.
Right.
And,
exactly.
And the
which
long tail,
which he talks about.
Exactly right. So basically the head, the authors, the ones who formed the head of this metaphorical snake in sales are like getting the bulk of sales, and that's the way it works. But your long tail is your backlist, and a bunch of the books that don't sell more than a few copies a month or less are actually what's driving your revenue, or at least upholding your business model, because they sell enough collectively in order to keep you afloat as a publisher.
So he defined long tail. I really loved his illustration of it. He talked about how when Amazon came along, when the internet retail, online retail came along, publishers started noticing that, we all noticed that a powerful front list title, a book that just came out that maybe is selling a ton for whatever reason, great content, well-known author, topic is hot, that might be selling, that might be on a path to sell 1 million books in a year. But on online retail, the book that's only going to sell 100 books in a year is just a click away. And publishers started realizing that the accumulation, and it's probably not a good example, so let's say it's a book that's 1,000 books a year is only a click away. Publishers started realizing if they had enough of those other only 1,000 selling books a year, and not focusing just on the front list book, which is kind of hard to make happen because everyone's competing for that author. You can't always tell which books are going to break out like that. But if you can cultivate a backlist where it's just constantly selling, and it's a ton of other titles, but it adds up to that one big title.
Right.
That's the long tail concept.
Yes. Yeah, and that's going to obviously like help the publisher's revenue at the end of the year, and say, that the big breakout book doesn't sell what they were hoping for to make back costs. That the backlist is going to then support, making your revenue for the year. So, and that can work on a smaller scale as well.
Right, and that's where he made that connect. I'm not going to remember exactly how he made that connection, but he says what you want to do is be part of that long tail. For you as one author, you don't need all the books that the publisher needs to get their business to be profitable in the black, but you can be one of those long tail authors. You don't have to be the best selling author. Right. I think that was his point.
Yeah, and I mean obviously volume does help, because with the long tail you're only selling a certain number of books. You want to have more books, and I would say at 3 years in, if you've published, let's say 12 titles a year on average, you're just
more like
at that
6
point.
or 5, but yeah.
I mean, you're just starting to get at that point where you have enough books to create a long tail, and each of them is selling a few copies. And as long as there's something driving your traffic to your website and those authors' websites. Yeah.
Which is why I encourage my authors, and if any of you are listening, keep your book going, because I need the long tail at work.
Every little thing you do helps.
Yeah, but also you'd be surprised. Like I had an author. There's another documentary out, and this author started about like a Shiny Happy People kind of documentary that's coming out or is out.
The second one,
and he started posting about it, and he's absolutely gifted with his posts about these kinds of things on TikTok and Instagram stories, Reels that is, and I haven't quite told him this yet, but it's not like it's a big number, but man, all of a sudden. Oh, we see a sale there.
See some copies.
He just posted that, and look at that. There's a sale just happened. Yeah.
Well, and it's because it's probably priced right and looks like a good topic, and he was speaking directly to the content, right? In terms of his brand, like saying, "Okay, this is what I'm about. This is what my book's about."
Well, he wasn't actually mentioning his book. I think people just found him.
Okay.
But it was just such compelling content.
Yeah.
And it wasn't disconnected from his book, and maybe he mentioned it if I don't always watch the whole post for everybody. So.
Right, and scrolling past. Yeah. I was thinking about Book Talk and whether that's still relevant. I think it is still relevant, and people will point to it as being a driver of their sales. But I mean, are you actually making a marketing push using your TikTok
Mm-hmm.
reels and stuff. I don't know. I'm not on TikTok, so I can't speak to that. But is BookTok still like changing the field?
Right.
And who knows? Like the next thing is probably out there, and we don't know what it is. But like it's coming, and I think there is a need to always be at least willing as an author, right? You're constantly trying to get your authors to do more or just be more active on your socials, be more engaged, actually comment on some things,
Right.
like show up,
Right.
and be there, and that is a way to then build your audience and drive traffic.
Right.
To sell books ultimately, but I mean, just to really grow your influence and grow your 1,000 true fans. If that's your goal, is you want to be an author, well, then you got to sell some books.
Yeah. And on social media, 1,000 true fans is probably more like 25,000.
Yeah. You probably need to be talking to a lot more
to find
than
the 1,000 in there.
That's right. Yeah. Socials are difficult that way. And that's why I ask about Facebook ads. It's not apples to apples often.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be difficult. You probably only have a very low percentage of people that actually convert to a sale there, or to a follower, let alone a Patreon supporter or whatever. You can get Substack subscribers. I've found that to be true. A good social media post can raise all ships.
I ran a Facebook ad once, just giving away books, saying if you respond to this and you go fill out a form, you'll be entered in a drawing to give away books.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yep.
And I actually and I said, but what I'm asking for is for you to sign up for our e-newsletter for our publishing house. So you'll get. We don't send that many posts. It's through our Substack account, but
and it should be something they're interested in already.
Hopefully, yeah. And actually, that was really effective as an ad. It grew the email list quite a bit. I know I need to do another one of those.
Yeah. Finding what's working and then doing that again, trying different things, seeing, watching your numbers. Like that's another thing that is really it's fraught for me because I hate knowing that people are even listening, let alone like that. Now I'm on the hook for this. It's difficult because I think as a writer, and this is something I mentioned to you, like every time I'm marketing, I'm not writing. Every time I'm selling,
I hear that a lot.
I'm not, creating content. And like, I think we artificially separate that to some degree.
Exactly. Is that really true?
Yeah.
Right.
You are creating content. You are creating connection. It's what you're hoping for from a book. Maybe it's not the same process as you go into your little cave and you create content in isolation largely and refine it before it goes out there. I think that's often perfectionism on my part, thinking about that. But I do want to stay sensitive to the idea that a lot of writers don't want to do this and they want to hire somebody.
Right. He talks about that
make sense
in the article as well.
For some people.
Right.
I don't know if I'm there, but as someone who kind of identifies with people on spectrum, for many reasons, whether that's, OCD or just social anxiety or even just traumas that you've had, it feels very uncomfortable to get out there and be a marketer or be a seller of your books. You don't want to think in those terms. At least I don't.
Right.
I want to think as a connector and doing it on a small scale, thinking, you're always going to have some people who aren't into what you're doing or what you're putting out there, and that's fine. Work at ignoring them, but do find the people who you do need to connect with, because that's what you're doing as an author. You're trying to connect with people,
right?
And you can do that online as well,
right? And in this sense, his article, I'm going to forget his name again. The guy,
Kevin Kelly.
Kevin Kelly, thank you. He used to work for Wired or something like that. He says if you're going to get someone to help you do it, then you just have to change that to not from 1,000 true fans, but to maybe 2,000 true fans.
Now you have to cover their salary, basically.
But it's still something that can have an actual absolute number. Well, that's probably too strong a word, but there's a number there somewhere, and that's all you need. You don't need more.
Yeah.
I do have an author that on my agenting side who has someone helping him with social media who's really good, and I believe they've been at it now for quite a while. It's their working relationship. And I think he's even expanding it, which hopefully that means it's working. Right. It's been generating more followers, more interest in what he does.
It's really good.
He offers more than just books.
Yeah. So this author doesn't need to be on socials as much.
But him personally,
Yeah.
right.
He's working with
Right.
someone. Yeah, and I've seen that work. I've seen a lot of people who that's their choice to do. You know, just like an author will kind of make decisions about, you know, paying for house help or some babysitting so they can get the writing done. It's a similar sort of metric you're using.
Yeah, exactly.
And then trying to say, okay, how does that then work? Because I got to pay for that, you know, out of my pocket usually.
Right.
You know, so I got to make more fans.
Right. Right. Right.
And everyone's got to figure this out for themselves. And
Yep.
I think that's doable. To me, that's much more doable than saying, okay, well, I'm just going to give it to the publisher and expect them to do it.
Right.
Like, that's just not.
And
it's not happening.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, it happens
as a new author.
Happens around the launch of the book a little bit, and then that is it.
Yeah,
it's like
there's a lot of promises made.
Yeah,
and a lot of books not sold.
or there's a lot of promises perceived made.
Sure,
perceived
Yeah.
that were never really promised by the publisher.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we've seen that over and over, just as the former professionals. That we were.
And I've said this plenty of times, like media doesn't mean what it used to mean 25 years ago.
Yeah.
In today's segmented digital marketplace,
Yes.
it doesn't mean what it used to mean. So if you think your publisher is supposed to get you a lot of great media, now it depends on what the book is.
Sure.
But
sure.
for most books,
But to listeners of this podcast,
media is not going to matter as much as you might think.
Right.
And so then what else is there? Well, there's like maybe your professional network, there's speaking, and then there's your own online platform.
Right. Right.
Or there's the fact that you've written a lot of books and you've built an audience just by putting a lot of content out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the long tail.
That's another
For
thing.
many years, you've been working at this, and that speaks for itself.
That's another thing about the long tail, is that it's actually a form of marketing in and of itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good to be able to go on Amazon and see that they don't have just one book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, immediately I'm like, okay, well, this person's obviously committed. This is someone who I can trust more.
Yeah.
Than just like even if they were on a publishing docket, it would be one book does not tell me that they have much of an audience yet.
And that's where you need a guide on your website as to which book people should read first.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, this author, I was just thinking about that. He probably needs that on his website. Just thought about that.
Yeah. Don't just sell your most recent book. Sell us the entire long tail.
Yeah.
Because like, how do these go together? And what was your idea? What was your guiding thought there?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is good. This is good.
Yeah.
I think we can continue this, indefinitely.
Indeed. Apologies to any listeners and to you, Mick, for me kind of going off at the beginning there.
It's perfect because it kind of gives us a place to jump off of.
When you get an introvert in a groove, it's just they're not stoppable.
Well, both of us, I think we just love to talk about this stuff. So hopefully that's helpful to someone. And we'll reconvene next time. We're on our way to within the next month or so, I guess. Wild Goose.
We just pulled the trigger. We're making plans to go.
Yeah, we made plans, but we'll be there. You're gonna have a Lake Drive.
Yep.
Yeah, like a booth there.
There will be a Lake Drive Books table. You're going to be there with me for part of that.
Yep, I'll be man in the booth.
Mostly just looking forward to conversations and meeting people. And I know a lot of folks will be there. I think you do too, who you've interacted with, but maybe never met face to face. That's what these things are.
I mean, are they at 20 years now? I don't know how long.
It's been a while.
Been going on.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that everything about when you go to a conference like this, like it's not necessarily everything isn't what you would have designed for a conference like this or the things that you want to go hear.
Right.
But it's more broad and diffuse than you might think.
Right.
And then there's just the layer of, well, there's people here to connect with.
Yeah.
And that means a lot of different things.
In person, yes.
So regardless of the vibe of the conference itself or the organizers, what they want, they're kind of providing a space. That's the main thing they're doing. And it's a safe space for a lot of people who don't otherwise find good, creative, safe spaces.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And in the, progressive Christian area, there's just not a lot that's out there. And certainly not that's of the level, I guess, or the experience level of the Wild Goose conference. So going to be there. And then, out
there's in the woods.
Just summer. Enjoy your summer too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It is summer.
We're definitely like on summertime here. It's going to get back.
Is it Friday at 1:00 yet when publishers all go home?
by the time Friday rolls around, I'm like looking for those half days.
It's only Tuesday as we are recording this.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to Portland too, so I gotta get my head around that. But we'll talk to you guys next time.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.